lined up before we go into construction. On a project like this, you maybe have 4 or 5 units on the roof and the bathroom vents. Ain't no big deal. They can basically go wherever they want because there's nothing above. But again, it depends on the design team. We received a really awesome project in South Valley. CAD John program. There was no 3D modeling by the design team. Another one of our BIM coordinators, Jason, he had to, like I did with the other project James mentioned, he had to model it from scratch. As soon as he models it, every single gang bathroom on the second floor, all of the flanges for the toilets came down 90 right into the beam, right into the steel beam, every single one of those gang bathrooms. So it ended up being, that was like RFI number 2. Hey, you want us to go north? You want us to go south? And again, finding that stuff up front, typically things like that. I've been on projects where you're painting walls before you find a situation like that. This system is similar to that Daikin system, except it's not refrigerant. It is actually hot and cold water being supplied. But again, you have your pipes bringing hot, cold, supply and return to the fan coil unit. The fan coil unit then distributes the air to the rest of the classroom in each individual space. But you'll notice you've got this flex duct coming off of this supply duct. Same thing here. The ceiling is not the plenum. The actual supply air from the rooftop unit is ducted to these VAVs, which was very different than the other Rio Grande system. I told you the ceiling, all this air below the ceiling is the same temperature and then just sucked directly into the VAVs. Well, it's 5 after 6. Do we keep going?
We would like to finish off this project. Is there a way that you talk about like how, one of the things that would be helpful for us to understand is how the floor plan is utilized with the mechanical system, how to understand the building and why some of the placement of the major units or the split systems, the areas are separated.
For the most part in that design process, so there's different types of project delivery methods. You know, there's the typical design, bid, build, where an owner hires a design team, mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, architect, civil engineer, etc., and a set of construction documents is set out and handed to the contractor and we build it. There's also design build, where we're along the ride for the process. What's becoming popular in New Mexico is what's called construction manager at risk. So that's kind of like design build, but the design team is not under my contract. I don't pay the design team. The owner still maintains control over that. And realistically, what we see is it's all by the seat of your pants. You know, the design team says, here is my general massing. During programmatic phases, during schematic phases, you're kind of doing your bubble diagrams, that whole thing, you're throwing things together. And then you get the general idea, what is this building, what is this animal going to look like? And then during schematics, that's when you hand it over to your mechanical electrical engineer and they say, okay, I need you to please carve out a little space right here. And then the design team says, oh hell no, I don't want to give up that space. No, I'm not going to do that. I really need that for storage, or I really need that for whatever. You know, so it's always a fight on the design side between the idea of servant space and servant space. You know, ceiling heights, mechanical rooms. It's really by the seat of the pants is what I've seen. There's no deliberation about how to do it or deliberateness on how to do it. There are some firms that we work with that are trying to kind of go with that idea I was talking about of repetition. There's efficiency in repetition. Decker Sabatini is very good at repeating everything they do because there's efficiency in repetition. So they will have their schematic design process, their design development, CAE process, but most of the time the footprint of the building is going to be repeated from a previous project. So they know that if a classroom wing is here, we know last time Burgess and Paxton demanded that they have a mechanical system here, so we'll go ahead and leave you a little bit of space, we'll find out that later. But that's really what we see. It's not, I don't see an efficient process where people get together and say, okay, in my bubble diagram, give me 1,000 square feet for mechanical room. It's a fight. So, if you guys
If
come
you
up with a way to
can-
solve that, great.
Yeah, if you can consider, like, for instance, on this project, you had the kitchen, mechanical room, main electrical room, all in one corner, and everything branches out from there. If you can, for instance, APS has a spec requirement. All those VAVs have to be out in the corridor. Because, okay, fine, during passing period, you got a guy on a ladder right outside the classroom door, but he's not in the classroom interrupting the students, and the students and teacher don't have to move to another classroom because there's a maintenance issue with the air conditioning system for that classroom. Consider, you know, the construction process, even the design process and the construction process. If you look at the entire pie or circle of the life cycle of a building, there's a little wedge over here, and then it's the actual use and maintenance of that building until eventually someday it's demolished and replaced. Think about how the guy's going to actually get up in there. How are they going to actually change out filters? How are they going to actually be able to, if that terminal unit does fail one day, how are they going to be able to pull that terminal unit out of the ceiling and be able to put a new one up? And that's really one of the things that we do best. We have a full-on facilities management program. So not only do we do this ahead of construction planning and thinking as to the best location and how to route some of these systems, but then it's also going to be our guys that for the next 15, 20 years are going into that building and actually maintaining the systems that are in there. So I kind of look at it, am I going to put one of my guys on a 12-foot ladder having to climb over a bunch of piping to be able to reach in this tight space to pull this filter out? No, I'm going to move all that piping this way. I'm going to bring that terminal unit as close to the ceiling as possible, so maybe he's only on an 8-foot ladder, and he's going to have to work right here. You know, so if you guys do go into the architectural or engineering design realm, stop to think about that. How is the building actually going to run and be used for the next 30 years? Not just, it looks prettier this way. But that's just my 2 cents. Any questions? Did we teach you anything, or did we waste your time? Right on, thank you. Before we stop, again, my name is Chris Hillman. I go by CJ. I am the BIM director for HB Construction. It is truly one of our beliefs to give back to the community in any way we can and to make it better than when we found it. Any of you have any interest in coming to our office and talking with me or talking with my team, learning more about this BIM stuff, or learning more about construction period? We set up job site tours all the time with C&M, ITT Tech. Would love to offer that to you guys, and even on a one-on-one basis. Our phone number, 856-0404. If anybody's really that dedicated, I got business cards. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to us and allow us to help you along. All right.
See, it's all part of a conspiracy, because my public service announcement is you don't have to go to work for an architectural firm. You can come to work for a contractor. It's really fun, I promise.
And we are actually all three. We are owner, architect, and contractor. So there's a niche for just about anybody in this room somewhere.
Yeah, we do have licensed architects on board.
Excellent. And could you tell us a little bit about the new construction of the new office that you all will be moving into?
Yeah, so it's the old Parole Board building behind Buffalo Exchange over here in Monte Vista in Richmond. It also housed the methadone clinic, so needless to say, The neighborhood is really happy to see the parole board leave and the methadone clinic leave. It's our attempt to be more centrally located and closer to UNM. UNM is one of our largest clients, and beyond that, it's kind of selfish. Our current office is up by the Lucas Park, and nobody wants to drive up there to meet with us. So I have to drive into town and meet with everybody downtown, meet with all the architects in downtown. So we're hoping that we can get people to come see us. Again, it's part of giving back to the community. We have a lot of community spaces in the building. That way, if you want to book a room and come do something cool at the office, it's open. And it's also part of a revitalization project, you know, of Nob Hill. I mean, everybody's going to be going to Nob Hill, especially with that new rapid transit thing. I mean, honestly, land prices are going to skyrocket around Nob Hill, so we jumped on board as soon as we could.
So this is our second floor outdoor deck for company functions.
My keg is going to go right over there.
This is a nice projection screen. We're going to have a projector on it mounted to show movies at night. So he's got 5 kids. I got 5 kids. The president of our company's got 4 kids, and just about 60% of our company has 2 or more kids. So we're planning like Friday and Saturday night family nights where we'll be able to open this rolling garage door and go right in and out of the kitchen break room to the outside deck with, again, continuing education and training is one of the most important factors for our CEO, Jason Harrington. And to show that, as you come walking up the stairs from the first floor, the very first thing you see is a 40-person training room. And again, you know, trust, transparency, openness, where you have as many glass walls in our office as possible. Just keep that open atmosphere. Make sure we're all understood that we're all working on a team. We're not all hiding in our own little office space.
It's also a showpiece of capabilities. One of the things that we've learned is owners feel that whatever project they have is absolutely unique and nobody can do it. For instance, we did a little gas station down in Carlton. A gas station is a rectangle CMU box. There's nothing to it. But that owner, that was the most complicated, the most important thing in that owner's world. So you have to go through the process of building them a rectangle CMU box for them to understand that, yes, you are capable of doing something simple. A lot of owners don't recognize HP Construction as being able to take on a daunting remodel project like this, because it is daunting, it's very challenging. Actually, when we were first touring the building and talking about do we buy this or not, I looked at my partner and I said, you know what, man, I don't know if we have enough money or balls to do this project, but I guess we're going to do it anyways, right? So it's a showpiece to show that we can gut old buildings and repurpose them and do urban infill.
For instance, every single one of these red columns is an existing column that we're having to get rid of because it doesn't work with the floor plan. So we've had to literally figure out how to bring a boring machine into the structure so we could take samples to figure out what kind of subgrade we were dealing with. That alone was a task. We had to cut open a giant opening in the side of the wall and figure out how to get these holes bored. We've completely gutted it down to the 2x8 floor joists. We were hoping to save the decking, but we had ACM in the adhesive for the flooring, and it was so old that as they were trying to, asbestos-containing materials, sorry. As they were trying to remove that flooring, the sheathing of the flooring was coming with it. It was just lifting as well. So we had to completely get rid of the decking, which was another one of those unforeseen costs and issues. And it was basically 3 buildings built independently throughout the last 80 years, something like that. And so there's 7 floor elevations on the first floor that we're trying to deal with on how to stairs and ramps and stuff. Yes, sir.
You all are actually doing a lot of the remodel work for C&M, aren't you?
We are,
Yeah.
yeah.
C&M South Valley has been an amazingly awesome project. Classroom by classroom, guys, literally, we've had to do this project.
You know, go in,
Given a space, get in there, put in all new ductwork, reframe walls, finish it, get out. Kids are moving in the next day.
I know you guys were working on the west side too, and then, yeah, what is there? Science building over here, next to TC or something like that.
Yeah, C&M, so colleges, secondary education owners, they're good owners to work for because simply it's state money, so it's guaranteed money. You know, you're not gonna run and you're not gonna not get paid. So we do a lot of work with UNM, we do a lot of work with C&M. We try to find owners that have values that align with our values, because it makes the whole process a lot easier. I mean, it's not just simple, sterile, design, build, get it done. I mean, when you take on a project, you're living with that group of people for a year, 2 years. You're gonna see them every week. You're married to them for 2 years. So you gotta find, as designers, you need to find builders that you can work with. As builders, we need to find designers and owners that we can work with, and vice versa, on the design side to the owner. There's no point in teaming up with an owner that makes your life difficult for 2 years. There's easier ways to make money. So.
Can I ask if, with all the renovation work and sort of the complications of getting some of the structure in this project, did it at some point become cost prohibitive to occupy it, or did it outweigh in terms of its long-term value and its location, whatever the cost of it requires?
Sometimes it does. Luckily with C&M, a lot of their projects are procured through the construction manager at risk. So when we're brought on board, the design isn't done. There's a basic program that's been done of what's required by the occupants. And they ask those questions, like kind of with the C&M South Valley project. Well, we're not going to shut down the building. Is it cost effective to renovate one room at a time, one section of pipe at a time, one ceiling at a time? And with that procurement process, it's our job to go through and say, all right, here's the cost of doing it one thing at a time. Here's the cost of doing the whole project if you vacated the building. And then the owner has to go back and say, well, I am going to save money on construction, but I'm going to lose revenue on classrooms. If the classrooms are not filled, then a college is not making any money. So there's always these cost-benefit analysis that happen all the time. Even with the systems. I mean, lots of our CMAR projects, the owner and the design team will say, okay, do we do a 4-pipe fan close system? Do we do a VRV system? Do we do evaporative cooling? And it's our job to come to the table with the cost for each one of those, plus the life cycle cost. I mean, some of these systems are very cheap up front to install, but over a 50-year period, you're going to lose a lot of money. There's always that sort of back and forth negotiation, especially with design build or construction manager at risk or integrated project delivery.
I wanted to just show this to you guys real quick. This is called Bluebeam. And so there's still RFIs, there's still a submittal process, there's still ASIs, so on and so forth. Well, typical old-fashioned method is architect sends out 6 copies, 40 to 120 papers to different people, right? Or to us, and we distribute it to our subs and suppliers accordingly. And there's 6 different copies with different markups and whatnot, and then we all have to combine them, figure out, or make sure we're all on the same page. Well, this is Bluebeam. So he showed you glue, where we can put the model anywhere in the world. And now this is Bluebeam, where we can put all the project documentation anywhere in the world as well. And as you can see here, a folder tree, addendums, approved submittals, BIM coordinated drawings, the schedule attachment, that's the rules of the game. And again, everybody can access the same drawing. You'll notice I've got this little padlock up here. If I've got it checked out, you can't mark it up until I check it back in, so that you have to see my markups before you can make any markups for yourself. But what's a really cool tool, and anybody who has had to coordinate between different systems will really appreciate this. You think of a 3-story project and you got 2 volumes of plans that are this thick, and you got to go through this way, and then you come backwards to your floor plan and you go to your section, and then you go into your detail. Well, then you need to go to the mechanical floor plan, and you're looking through here. how about we just look at architectural, mechanical, and plumbing, and as I move one drawing, the rest of the drawings move with me. So I can directly see what's going on here, here, and here, and they're all related. Time saver. Huge time saver.
Is there a way you can do it live to where multiple people from different firms or whatever can be looking at the same document as you're making changes?
Absolutely. So this is Studio. And Studio will house the project. But within the project, I can actually create a session. So you can do it within the project, because if you notice down here, I have a list of BIM Intern 1 on 2/4/2016 added this comment, made a cloud, made another text box. So again, it'll keep a history of everything that's been done on that page. So we can always go back to, okay, well, where did we get lost? Where did we make the mistake? But within that, you can extract 3 or 4 of these documents and create a session. And for some reason, I don't have access in this project.
And Blue does the same thing. It's actually pretty impressive to watch these guys coordinate a job in our office. The BIM department, I call it Skynet Central. It's just like wall-to-wall screens. And there'll be 3 or 4 people on the phone with headphones, and everybody's working in Blue. And as one part of the model is changing, everybody sees it, not just in our office, but with fire protection, with mechanical, with electrical, everybody sees the change altogether. That way it's not, you made a change and a week later somebody figured out that you just screwed them. You know, collaboration is something that we're all striving towards. Integrated project delivery is going to be the next future of project delivery. In New Mexico, we don't have the legislation to allow it yet. But in that scenario, we're all going to work together. And the interesting thing is all of our margins are going to be tied together. So if the project is a success, everybody's successful. If the project's a failure, everybody fails. So we're being forced to collaborate more and more and more. Yes, sir.
In Bluebeam, can you hyperlink stuff, like details?
Ha ha! You know what Bluebeam is. Okay, I've got this blow up. Let me see, there it is. Now watch what happens to the hand as I come over this bloop, H, hyperlink. Click it. Now we break up the drawings by discipline. So we're having to pull up and download this other drawing, which takes just a second, and bam. There we are. Takes us right to it. And so now again, I can just alt back and go right to what I was looking at before. I go alt forward. Oops. Making a liar out of me.
I believe you can put external links here too, can't you?
Yeah.
Like the HTTP or something like that?
Yeah, so through Bluebeam, I can create links to, where's that tool at? Anyway, if I check out the document, I can hyperlink to a website. So for instance, I can hyperlink to Train's PDF on their website that shows the submittal for whatever that unit is that we're installing in the building. And we can hand this over to the owner at the end of a project so that they have, okay, we need filters. Click on it, link, order some filters. And there they are. All right, well.
All right, thank you again so much. Active audience, instead of a break, I'm gonna let you go early, unless you have questions for these guys. Thank you. You were,
I got scared too.
you're like a DJ.
I was gonna start spinning this.
I want to say they would do like small tour. How do I get Yeah, this,
get his card and he can set you up for a tour. And then, I mean, once we move in over here, come stop by anytime. It's like we really are a community-based company, so I love taking people around the office and showing them what we do.
that's actually one of the reasons.
Yeah. He's got a card, Chris? He looks like he's got a tour.
How many people?
About 75 right now.
The other side of the sheet. Oh. No, it's.
She said probably on the front part of it. I think that, I mean, it's
Yes, sir.
but do you think we can email back and forth about?
Absolutely.
I mean, we're trying to, we don't even know, we don't even have a baseline right now, we're just trying to research it.
Let's set up a meeting and.
Nobody does right now. You and Emma's trying to figure it out too.
It's me and,